throughout your whole experience, did you have a moment where you were contemplating whether to move forward, whether you were hesitating, whether, this is the path to continue? Because I imagine, when it comes to artistic mentality, especially nowadays when, everything is so oversaturated and you're constant competition just to, just to survive, as you've mentioned, I guess it's very difficult. So have you gone through a moment like that?
I've had some doubts.
Yeah.
I've definitely had doubts. I remember being on tour with Murder Dolls, the very first tour, getting on a tour bus, pulling into the venue in Cologne, Germany, and we'd already been on tour for a month, and I'd never been away from home. I'd never been out of North Carolina. I'd never been on airplanes, flying, or this is all brand new to me. And I remember sitting in the bus and thinking, like, is this what I want to do? Like I'm wearing the same clothes I've had on for 5 days. I stink. And the band at the time, Murder Dolls, we didn't know. We learned to be friends on tour. We didn't know each other prior. It was like go on a bus and be friends.
Wow.
We met going on tour. I knew Joey. I didn't know anybody else.
Yeah.
So it was just like it was scary. And I was 26 years old. So I remember talking to my mom and being like, "How do you like it?" I'm like, "I don't know if I do." But then I guess a few months of it and just the energy of the audience and seeing people's reaction, it was no question at that point. So now I do it because I don't know anything else to do. This is just natural for me. Like we've been on tour for 4 weeks now, and we just came from Australia into this tour.
Wow.
Time zones, jet lag, all of this. And there's been days where we missed a show because we got stuck at the border and held at customs, and no one got to eat that day.
Wow.
But that's just the day in the world out here, and I didn't complain about it. And the next show we played, it was twice as good because we had the energy of. So it's just I don't know. This business isn't for everybody, and you'll learn real quick. And I tell people all the time, say, "Do you have advice for being in a band?" And I go, "Yes." The advice is, are you willing to give up everything? I mean, everything. Your family, your friends, your girlfriend, your wife, because you could lose all of it by doing this the way most people do it. And I've lost all of that. Friends, wife, girlfriends, all of it. But rock and roll has always been true to me and been my savior. It's kept me alive. It's almost killed me. But yeah, it's all I know. But yeah, I have doubts. And during COVID, when the world shut down, that was a hard time for every musician because you couldn't do anything. There was no venues. You couldn't tour. You couldn't. That was at that point. I went, well, is it over? Do I do anything? So crawling out of that hole was a horrible time, and I think a lot of people had doubts for what they wanted to do. But now that I'm back on track with it, I have no doubts now. I feel more focused now than I have in a long time.
Amazing. You said it so well, really. I wouldn't ask you what's the best advice that you have for a band, but I'm curious to hear what's the toughest life lesson in general that your journey taught you?
It's just, I think, making permanent decisions on temporary problems, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense, yeah.
There's people that I've had a lot of my friends pass away now in this business. Joey, Lexi, that's two dudes that I knew that were, and Joey especially close to me, that passed away because of this lifestyle, so and then seeing other musicians who have passed away from this lifestyle of drugs or alcohol or just mental, because it's all there, Yeah. I mean, it's usually the mental part that pushes people to the drugs and the alcohol. So I think that's the one thing as I've learned is I'm surrounded by a lot of ghosts now, and I don't want to make those decisions that some of my friends made, and I want to live my life now better, but with them with me, if that makes sense. You know, I can't bring them back, but I can try to live a better life by learning from their mistakes. You know, and that's speaking of my friends that I know, and that's speaking of people that I don't know, that I see, you know, rock stars that pass away from Scott Weiland to Chris Cornell, or any of these people that had, you know, I didn't know them, but I know their pain, and I know their struggle with that stuff. So I guess learning from that, learning that I don't have to, if I have problems, I don't have to have a drink to solve them.
Yeah.
I gotta dig within this thing, and I guess that's the one thing I've learned, because in the past it was always sex, drugs, and rock and roll was the answer, and sometimes it's your brain first. You know.
I mean, you know, implementing this mental concept, does it come easy for you now? Like, is it easy to, you know, discipline yourselves when in such situations to, as you said, dig deep? Or what's the mental dynamic with you?
I mean, this job is the easiest job to relapse in, especially if you're trying to be. And when I say that, like, I was never a drug guy. I had a really bad drinking problem, and I've been trying to correct that for several years now, and I'm much better with it. But I was always my crutch, as I called it. But now when I'm on tour and I'm playing a show, and then there's an after show, and there's drinks, and there's everything, and I just had the best show, and everyone screamed for us, and I'm like, oh, I can have this. And I instantly, as I'm saying I can have this, I'm telling myself a million reasons why I shouldn't have it, but only one reason why I should drink, and it always outweighs it. So it's tough, you know. I mean, I'm one bad decision away from doing it all over again. But I've got a good group of people around me, and the music business has changed a lot now. Now it's sort of frowned upon to be a drunk or be a, you know what I mean? It used to be, that's cool, you know. Now it's the reality of people know that it's not a happy ending with that sort of lifestyle. So for me, I'm still learning. I'm not perfect. This tour has been great for me because I've been able to visit all these countries and visit it with a clear mind, and go out and see stuff, and not only play the shows, but get to, because before, when I've toured for 20 years, I just played the show and partied, and woke up the next day and didn't know where I was. Didn't have time to look around or anything. So I'm just trying to do things a little different, a little smarter, and try to live a little bit longer.